Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is the third and final custom video for Watch's journey. Man, he got his money's worth, all right? But that's what happens when you ask good questions. I go off on tangents. You get 3 videos out of it. Now, in the first video, we looked at his collection, 5-piece collection. Second video, we talked about the Explorer, what the hell it is. And in this video, we'll talk about the other 2 watches he's thinking about getting, and those were the Explorer 2 or the Deepsea. Now, let's start with the Explorer 2. It's a 42mm watch, white dialed watch, and it's a real Explorer's watch, unlike some other Explorers that we talked about in video 2. Now, it's got a beautiful white dial if you go for the polar, and that's going to bring another dial color into your collection. And it's not going to give you any more functionality than you have in your GMT Master 2. In fact, less so, because the GMT Master 2 has that rotating bezel. But it's a different aesthetic, and it's a watch with punch because of the size, because of that white dial, because of that orange 24-hour hand. And it could fit nicely in your collection, but you've got a lot of punchy pieces, and it's going to be yet another punchy piece. So again, if you want a subtle watch, that might not be the way you want to go. Now, it's 2021. We think that we're going to have a 50th anniversary of the Explorer 2 because it came out in 1971 with a 1655. The question is, what's this forthcoming Explorer 2 going to be like? And if it looks completely different, then you're going to want to have that 42mm current 216570, because if they change it a lot and the aesthetics change, that's going to make the value of that watch go up, all right? And look, that's just an aspect of Rolex ownership. It's something we have to talk about. It doesn't mean I appreciate Rolexes any less than some purist out there. It's just a component. It's an element we have to talk about. So there's that, all right? And so if the new forthcoming Explorer 2, if we were to know right now that it's going to be completely different, I'd say go out, get that 42mm current version, 216570 now, all right? If we knew nothing about it, if we just got, a bird whispered in my ear, it's going to be completely different. Hell, I'd get one too. I don't even like the size of the 42mm Explorer 2, but I'd probably pick one up, all right? But if we thought that it was going to be the same, then if somebody, the bird came and said, no, actually got it wrong, it's going to look completely the same, just a new movement, I would say probably maybe you want to sell your current Explorer 2. Okay, be careful, because I don't think you should sell any Rolexes, okay, period, but I would be more likely to advocate flipping, all right? Because if it's nothing but a movement upgrade, then people are going to want the new ones, and people are going to want to upgrade from their lousy 3186 these days. I know anyway, let's just not go into movements, okay? But it would get the 3287 like the GMT Master 2. But again, if there are no visual differences, I think people are going to want to upgrade, and I don't think that's going to mean a lot or anything positive really for the current version, because people will just want the version that looks the same but with the newer movement, I think. But of course, there will be subtle differences. For example, there'll be a coronet between the Swiss and the Made at the 6, and the current version's not going to tank. I mean, no Rolex is going to tank. And if prices do go low, people are going to buy it because it'll be the value proposition, talking about the current version. So really, whatever happens, you're going to be okay if you have that 42mm Explorer 2, but you'll be especially okay if they drastically change the aesthetics of the forthcoming version. So it's really, if you're a betting man, that's probably what you want to do. You want to say, I think they're going to put a ceramic bezel on it, and if that's the case, well, get that 42mm version. In fact, I don't think I would let speculation drive your decision. I would just ask yourself what you want to wear. I mean, look at the Explorer 2. Do you want to wear it? Okay. If the answer is yes, get it. It's going to be a pretty punchy piece. You were thinking about the Explorer. Do you want a subtle piece? Well, go the Explorer route. Okay. Now, let's get to the James Cameron. Wow, it's got to be a kick to have a Rolex watch named after you. That's an interesting watch. It's a 44 millimeter watch, biggest Rolex ever. And they got the black version and the James Cameron version, which pays tribute to his descent into the Mariana Trench. And his submersible was green. And so if you look at the dial, it's very interesting. It's got that blue gradient that obviously looks like the sea. As you go down, it gets blacker. And then written in the same green as his submersible is Deepsea. And it's almost like that Deepsea is the submersible going down. It's a visual image of him just descending, if you can kind of picture it that way. And in that sense, it's awesome. I love it. It's all about the dial. But it's a 44 millimeter watch. I'm wearing a 43 millimeter watch, but I'm wearing this because you have to go 43 millimeter if you want all these functions, all right? It's just the nature of the Iconaut. But there are other smaller, more wearable versions, but of course none with that dial. One thing is for sure, I don't think I'd ever get an all black, just regular Deepsea. Okay, I'd much rather go for the Sea Dweller or the Submariner or something. Okay, but again, it's all about that dial, and so if you love that dial, that might be the way to go. Now you have sizable wrists. You seem like a big guy. WJ, the Datejust 41 looks great on you, so I think you could wear this watch. And what can we say about it? It's gigantic. It's thick. It's over the top. It's more watch and depth rating than anybody will ever need. It's in a way awesome, but also ridiculous. It's cool. I like it. Not for me, but I like it. I just remember seeing a black Deepsea. I was at the Ampan Man Museum with my daughters, and we were kids and dads and moms sitting on the ground and watching up at the stage Ampan Man perform, and a gentleman right in front of me, he was sitting Indian style, and then he was leaning back and he had his hands back, and his hand was right there in front of me, all right? I could reach out and touch it. I almost did, not really, but he was wearing a Deepsea. I was wearing the No Date sub, and forget Ampan Man, I was looking at the Deepsea and my sub, and the Deepsea and my sub, and just going back and forth, and it was so bizarre how thick that watch was, and mine just looked so well proportioned, and it looked like the baby. It was interesting, and I just stared at that watch pretty much the whole time. Anyway, it's a thick watch. And if you like thick watches, big watches, punchy pieces, that's the way to go. So basically, I would say, you've got your 3 watches you're thinking about getting. Ask yourself first, do you want a subtle piece? You got your answer right there. That's the Explorer. Do you want a punchy piece? Okay, all right. Get rid of the Explorer. We don't need that anymore. You've narrowed it down between the Explorer 2 and the James Cameron. Now, do you really want a punchy piece? Really punchy. Get the James Cameron. Okay. Do you want something that looks quite different than what you already have? Well, the white dialed fixed bezeled Explorer is going to probably be the one. Are you looking to speculate on the 2021 model that we think is going to come out in terms of the Explorer 2? Well, it might lead you in that direction. What about the James Cameron? Some people think that's going to be discontinued. Now, I don't think they're going to discontinue the whole line, because there's something for everyone in the Rolex line, especially in terms of size. And that's the over-the-top piece, and there's a market for that. And so to get rid of that would be crazy. It's not like it's not selling. Try and find those at an authorized dealer. I did stumble upon just the regular one in Thailand. It was gone in 24 hours, by the way. And they're going to keep it, but are they going to keep the James Cameron? That's an interesting question. And they're going to get rid of it at some point. Somebody ought to call James and say, by the way, this contract you have, this relationship you have where you're in Rolex advertisements, how long are you doing that? Is it in this year? All right, that could give an indication perhaps. But if they do end that, I have a feeling they'll come out with something comparable or maybe even a little bit cooler. They'll give you something to fixate. They're just not going to nix the James Cameron and leave the regular black one there. I think, all right? But is that going to happen? Probably sometime. Is it going to happen anytime soon? That's the question. And if you like that watch and you want that watch, now's the time to get it. So there'll always be Explorer 2 42 millimeters out there, and even if it was discontinued tomorrow, they'll jump up, but they're not going to jump up as much as the James Cameron would. So I think you could wear the James Cameron. I think it's a beautiful dial. It's a unique dial. I think if you want a punchy piece, that's probably what I would go for. I mean, if I saw somebody with a James Cameron, I would be much more impressed than if I saw them wearing a 42 millimeter Explorer 2. And WJ, I know we buy our watches to impress people, and that's the main point, right? Okay, not really, but it makes you feel good when you know you get a punchy piece, and that's a seriously punchy piece. And you'll be in good company. That is Paul Thorpe's favorite watch, and he knows what he's talking about, so take that into consideration. And I think if you're just looking at James Cameron next to a 42 millimeter Explorer 2, which I don't really like that much. I'm more a 40 millimeter guy. The James Cameron is just kind of something special. So that's what I think you should go for. But you got to try one on first. Pop by some shop somewhere, try on the black version or the James Cameron, just see if you like it. And again, if you want a punchy piece, that's certainly a punchy piece. And that's going to be one of those watches that will be really hard to get if it is discontinued. So that would be my vote. Guys, what do you think? What should he go for? James Cameron, I think, is the way I would steer you. But while you're getting it, mention to that AD that you're looking to get possibly the forthcoming Explorer 2. Get your foot in the door, start talking about it, plant that seed that you might be interested in that watch. And so when it does drop, you'll be first in line. Hey, remember when I talked about that? Hey, it came out. All right. So there you go, WJ. Thanks for your custom video request. Guys, thanks for watching. Drop a comment in the comment section. What do you think about this trilogy of WJ custom videos? Do you agree with anything I said, or nothing, or everything, or what? Let me know. Drop a comment in the comment section. Subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Take care.